down goes the entire crypto world. Yes, I said it. If you are not careful, we might be looking at the next biggest calamity in the world, and that's the fall of the crypto world. I'm not sure that everyone sees this, but the crypto world is already on fire. Well, why? To put it plainly, it's because of exchanges and stablecoins. But before you guys bite my head off about this, let's roll that intro and I'll explain further. As always, welcome to MoneySide, your favorite crypto channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you get updates when we drop new videos. Don't forget to smash that like button, and you can always leave a comment or a question in the section below.
Most people outside the United States don't really care that the SEC is suing us. I'll tell you a very quick, funny story. I'll keep it short. I was in the Middle East last fall, and we were meeting with customers. I have one of the Ripple team members who's based there. It's really early in the morning. My time zones are all screwed up. We're meeting the CEO of a payments company, and but the employee from Team Ripple says, "Well, why don't you give an update on what's going on at Ripple?" And I start talking about the SEC. And after the meeting, he very delicately says to me, "No one gives a shit." And his point was, if you're not in the United States, the governments in Abu Dhabi, governments in Switzerland, Singapore, UK, Japan, they provided the clarity how they view and categorize digital assets, and they don't care that the United States SEC has a viewpoint that is, pending in court.
That's great. So, Brooks, wanted to come to you because I think to me, it's really interesting because Ripple represents both sort of the deeper definition of sustainability when it comes to use cases and what you've been piloting in terms of energy efficiency, and also in your model and creating those, partnership ecosystems across so many of your customers. I'm sure you're advancing sustainable approach in a deeper way. So curious for your take.
Great. Thank you, Anna. And thank you to the GBBC for putting this together and the convening. It's excellent space. And it's certainly at a time right now at Davos, these sorts of conversations, kind of deep conversations, getting to the heart of the issue are important. So I like this framework of thinking about, the core business and what we're actually going after from a business front, and then how we do it. And that could apply to anyone thinking about sustainability. And so Ripple was set up 10 years ago to be the company to find real-world use cases for the XRP ledger and XRP, the digital asset. Separate company from the ledger and the asset, of course. And we really identified very early on that cross-border payments and moving value across borders was where we wanted to play and go after. And we've been doing that for 10 years. It takes time, and it's taken a lot of effort to build a network now over 70 countries. But the underlying goal hasn't changed from the beginning, and our employees love this, our stakeholders love it, and it's all about moving value in a faster, cheaper, more trustworthy, and now greener way across borders. And using blockchain technology initially, and then also adding on digital assets as the bridge currency more frequently and more recently. And so that is really what's driven our core business at Ripple, Ripple Nets. But we also really view, and I like the way that all the panelists have talked about it, there is the macro, and then there's kind of the underlier, if you will. And the underlier for Ripple is that we did start out with a ledger that was carbon neutral. We did start out with a vision from the founders that in the environments was going to be very important to what we were doing. And we've lived that for the last 10 years of doing things like signing the Crypto Climate Accord, and we'll talk about later in the panel, kind of going after the carbon credit market and getting a creator fund around that. And so I think that to me is this balance that you laid out, is the business model and then how you're doing it together have to be in concert and not be at odds with each other.
Thanks for that broader framing. Siarga, I wanted to come to you.
We started building RippleNet with the thesis that crypto liquidity would eventually be able to support robust global payments, large payments. RippleNet was designed so that customers seeing the benefits of our fiat-based network could flip the switch to ODL once the market was mature enough. And this is exactly what's happening.
Flip the switch.
Here's the first red flag that the crypto world is going down. Whale Chart recently tweeted saying Binance confirms compliance with South Korea's request to freeze Do Kwon's crypto. We all know how high up in the food chain Binance is when it comes to cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. And if anything happens to this platform, it sort of affects the entire crypto world. Binance freezing Do Kwon's crypto isn't such bad news. but it's the beginning of an even larger scheme. Now, what do I mean? Well, how is it possible that Binance can freeze cold wallets on their platform? Honestly, how is Binance different from the banking system if they can freeze even your cold wallets? Here's another tweet that you should pay attention to. It comes to us again from Whale Chart. Breaking: the license of Binance Exchange in Australia has been revoked. With effect from 14 April 2023, clients will not be able to increase derivatives positions or open new positions with Binance. If you thought you were safe with Binance, I'd highly recommend getting your cryptos outside of this platform. Any other exchange out there. If the shit hits the fan, at least you can confidently state that you have your coins in your own cold wallet. CZ commented on it saying, there are some misinformation and confusion about Binance Australia. Binance Australia requested to cancel the derivatives license yesterday. The platform had exactly 104 users as of yesterday. Binance Australia will continue to operate the spot exchange in Australia. Don't even get me started on the limitations that Binance has in the US. And that's not the only platform that's under fire with the law. If you don't get your money off of exchanges, you might lose your fortune. More importantly, ensure that you invest in the right cryptos. The best option, and probably the only crypto that's going to survive despite what happens, is XRP. It has withstood allegations that could easily sink any other crypto. That's why everyone is optimistic that this coin will head straight to the moon once the lawsuit is over. In fact, it will likely be the only coin to get regulatory clarity. That will make this coin the king of all crypto. Or maybe you think something different. Share your thoughts in the comments section below.
Certainly see potential for CBDC. Digital currency is what I'm referring to. I tell you what we are seeing, and it changes so fast in a matter of 1 year. You know, the crypto assets at large have lost about 85% of their value in a matter of 1 year. What we are seeing at the moment is what Carlos was referring to, which is, development into new technologies that will actually change the way in which intermediation is conducted. Eliminate some of the barriers, including the unconscious biases that exist out there. And, I think in the banking system at large in many, many countries, the difference will not be between those who are disrupted and those who survive, but it will be between those who are cannibalized because they're not seeing it coming and they're not embracing it, and those who self-induce that cannibalization. And I'm using cannibalization on purpose because it's a bit of a striking, horrible word, but it's really what it means. It's you're going to disrupt your business model, you're going to change it, you're going to reduce your costs, you are going to expedite your transactions, and you're going to continue to inspire confidence because you will build that on the basis of an existing backbone, which is your bank and the confidence relationship that you've established with your customers. So that's where I see changes happening now. If you think of Circle and Ripples and all those, that's where they are active and helpful.
So let me just make it very easy, right? So basically in RippleNet, two nodes, let's say node A and node B. Let's just, for simplicity, just take their two banks. They want to speak to each other. They are able to speak to each other almost like WhatsApp, right? So in our technology, what they're able to do is they're able to put the address of bank B, and let's assume the bank B says, I'm okay to accept messages from bank A, like what we do in WhatsApp. Once our phone numbers are there, we accept the person, then the bank A can communicate with bank B. So let's assume Arjun is the customer of bank A. He says, hey, you know what? I want to send money to Naveen, who's the customer of bank B. The first thing will happen is just a message will go from bank A to bank B. Hey, Arjun wants to send money to Naveen. Are you open to accepting this money? And bank B can essentially look at my bank account and essentially say my bank account is active and I'm a good person, and AML and all the KYC checks are done. He says, yeah, you know what? Arjun's money can travel to Naveen from bank A to bank B. So the thumbs up is given. And then the moment Arjun presses enter, your account will get it debited, and in a few seconds, the account of Naveen will get credited and everybody can go home. So just for example, one of the biggest benefit is even before the debit happens, we are able to pre-clear a transaction, which means we are able to do the checks on the transaction. We can make sure that indeed the account is not closed and any other checks that need to be done by institution A or institution B. Because for example, one of the biggest problem today for Arjun is, let's assume by mistake, he puts Naveen's last name as a different name, that the transaction will go in a black hole, and it'll maybe take you 7 days to find out, hey, you know what, by mistake, instead of putting Gupta, I put John, right? I put something else, right? And that's a big problem. So that's just on the information exchange side. The second thing happens on the transfer of value side. And here it's important to understand that banks have used something called as Nostro account. The easiest way to think about it would be working capital for banks. So exactly the same scenario. Let's assume bank A, whose customer are in currency, let's say GBP, when they want to send money into Philippines peso, what they would do is they would park very large sum of money. So let's assume they would park on a Friday evening, $5 million equivalent in Philippines peso, which is essentially kept with the bank B. And then when Arjun walks in, gives his 1,000 GBP, then that gets debited and the Philippines peso account gets credited. And these keeps happening with hundreds of transactions till that $5 million equivalent gets exhausted. Now, people ask me all the time, why are cross-border remittances so expensive? They are very expensive because somebody's bearing the capital cost of this $5 million equivalent. Somebody's bearing the depreciation risk of this $5 million equivalent. And somebody's waiting for the customers to come in one by one, so that this amount slowly gets depleted, right? And I think you already know this, that cross-border payments sometimes can be between 2 to 7% of the principal value. That means if you're sending $200, $14 will be taken away between these costs. And the biggest cost is liquidity cost. In the case of using ODL, on-demand liquidity, the solution that's started by Ripple, there is zero Nostro account balances that are required. So exactly what is going to happen is GBP in real time will get converted to XRP. XRP within 2 seconds will travel to Philippines, and in Philippines it'll get converted to Philippines peso and the payout will happen. And this can happen throughout the day.
So there's no need to create a
No need to
account.
create Nostro accounts. It happens 24/7, real time, with real time rates on both the sides. The execution is very fast. There is almost nil friction, and there is zero working capital that is required. That means all this cost, which was inherent in the parallel system, can now go back to the customers, and then we can all essentially enjoy much cheaper, faster, and more efficient remittances.
As always, do your own research and always trade safely, guys. Please keep in mind, we're not a licensed financial advisor. All videos on this channel are intended for entertainment purposes only. Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and let's have a conversation. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to like this video. Please click on that subscribe button below and turn on notifications so you get informed when we drop new video. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next Money Side.